2 months later, the city still belonged to John Jungle. His name still carried fear in dark alleys and luxury ballrooms alike. Deals still happened with a single nod from him. Rivals still calculated their moves carefully before crossing his territory. From the outside, nothing had changed, but inside, the man himself, everything had. The penthouse felt emptier than it ever had. It was in the silence that bothered him the most. Silence had always been his part of his life. It was absence of her presence. Wine had never been loud. She wasn't someone who filled rooms with chatter, but somehow the house had always felt alive when she was there. Her quiet humming while reading, the faint smell of jasmine she loved, the way she left small things in places that made the space feel human. Now the house felt like what it had originally been, a fortress. Cold, practical, lonely. Jungkook stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window in his office, staring down at the glowing city. 2 months, 60 days, 60 nights of waking up expecting to see her beside him. 60 mornings reminding him she had chosen to walk away and she had chosen to respect it. That was the hardest part. Every instinct inside him screamed to go to her, to pull her back into his life, to fight for her the way he fought his enemies. But she hadn't asked for a fight, she had asked for peace, and he didn't want to disturb it. His work had become his only escape. Meetings, negotiations, operations, planning expansions, handling rebel threats, but even work had started slipping. Boss, Sam's voice pulled him back. Jungkook turned from the window slowly. Sam stood near the jug holding a file. You didn't sign the contract? Jungkook frowned slightly. Which one? Sam looked surprised. The port deal. Jungkook glanced down at the papers. He had read the same paragraph 3 times earlier and still hadn't absorbed a word. His mind kept drifting to the lake house, to her voice, to the moment she said, I'm finally choosing myself. Jungkook exhaled slowly and signed the papers. Sam didn't move. Something else? He asked. Sam hesitated. You should rest. Jungkook's eyes narrowed slightly. I'm fine. You haven't slept properly in weeks. I said I'm fine. Sam nodded and left quietly, but his concern lingered in the room. Jungkook returned home late that night. The penthouse lights were already on. That was unusual. He stepped inside cautiously. Boss, one of the guards approached. You have a guest. Jungkook frowned. At this hour? The guard nodded toward the living room. Jungkook walked in and stopped. Rhea sat on the couch. She stood immediately when she saw him. Jungkook? He didn't smile. What are you doing here? Her expression softened. I was worried about you. He removed his jacket slowly. I'm fine. Everyone says you're not. His jaw tightened slightly. Everyone should mind their business. Rhea studied him carefully. His hair was messier than usual. Dark shadows rested under his eyes. Even his posture looked heavier. You look terrible, she said quietly. Thanks. That wasn't an insult. I didn't ask for an observation either. She walked closer. You have barely spoken to anyone in 2 months. I'm working. You're hiding. His eyes flicked toward her sharply. Don't start. Rhea crossed her arms. This is about wine. Jungkook's patience snaps instantly. Leave. Her eyebrows lifted slightly. I just got here. I don't care. Leave. She stepped even closer in a seductive way. No. Jungkook stared at her. You're crossing a line. And you are destroying yourself. I'm handling my life. Are you? Her voice softened. You love her that much? The question hit harder than he expected. Yes. The simple answer stunned her slightly. You still do? Yes. Rhea looked away for a moment. Something dark flickered behind her eyes. Do you know what's ironic? She asked quietly. Jungkook said nothing. You spent years choosing her. His eyes narrowed slightly. And now that she is gone, you are still choosing her. He leaned back against the table. What exactly are you trying to say? She looked up at him slowly. I'm saying you never noticed what was right in front of you. His voice grew colder. Rhea, she took another step closer. I have loved you since we were kids. The words hung in the air. Jungkook blinked once. What? You heard me. His expression hardened immediately. Stop. No, I won't. I'm done with this. Her voice trembled slightly now. I loved you before she ever knew your name. That's enough, Rhea. You remember when we she he stared at her. You said we would get married one day. Jungkook dropped his temper. That was a game. We played house. We were children, he continued. You put a ring made of candy on my finger. He looked genuinely stunned. You can't be serious. Rhea laughed bitterly. You think I forgot that? Because you should have. We were children at that time, for God's sake. She shook her head slowly. You married her. Yes. And I had to watch. Jungkook's eyes sharpened. What are you implying? Her silence was answer enough. A horrible realization began forming in his mind. You didn't like wine from the start. Rhea smiled faintly. That obvious? His chest tightened. You tried to separate us? Not tried. Her eyes met his. I did. The confession hit like a slap. You manipulated situations, he said slowly. Yes. You called it convenient moments. Yes. You created an emergency and I trusted you. Yes. His face clenched. You made her feel second. Rhea shrugged. She always was. The room exploded. Jungkook slammed his fist on the table so hard the glass rattled. Don't. Her smile faded slightly. Why? You don't get to talk about my wife like that. Your soon ex-wife, as the divorce papers are on the court. His voice dropped dangerously low. You destroyed my marriage, Rhea. She met his gaze without fear. No, you did. You chose to answer my calls. The truth cut deep, but it didn't absorb her. You knew exactly what you were doing. Yes, and you kept doing it for 3 years? Her eyes softened slightly. I thought eventually you would see me. Rage burned in his chest now. You betrayed my trust. You were like a sister to me. When your father died, he sent me to take care of you. And I thought I was doing that. But what did I get in return? Huh? This? I love you. I don't want you to be my brother. That's not love. Her voice cracked. I was there before her. And that gives you the right to destroy her life? Silence. Then she whispered, I just wanted you. Jungkook took a step back. For the first time in years, he looked at her like he didn't recognize her. You sabotaged the woman I loved. Rhea swallowed. You were supposed to be my best friend. Her eyes filled with tears. I still am. No. His voice was final. You're not. The silence between them was heavy. Rhea finally whispered, So what now? Jungkook turned away. Leave. Her voice shook. You're choosing her again? Yes, and I would do it till my death. But she's gone. Yes. Then what's the point? He looked back at her slowly. Because she deserves the truth. She was mine, now I lost her. And I want her back. Her face went pale. You're going to tell her? I'm going to try to make things right. And if she doesn't come back, will I have a chance? Jungkook walked toward the house without answering that question, but stopped at the doorway. Without turning around, he spoke. No, you don't stand a chance, and you're not welcome here anymore. Rhea felt the ground slip beneath her. Jungkook, if you come near my home or my family again, he continued coldly, I won't treat you like a friend. You became my enemy, so make sure I won't treat you like one too. Silence, then he added quietly, and I will never forgive you for what you did to me. Those words broke her. Rhea stood frozen as he disappeared inside. The door closed. When the door finally closed behind her, the penthouse fell silent again. But this time Jungkook felt something different clarity. He finally understood the pattern, the manipulation, the damage, and the most importantly, the mistake he needed to fix more than ever. The next morning he drove straight to Mehra's house. But when the door opened, only her father stood there. And the look on the older man's face told him immediately something had changed again. You are too late, Mr. Mehra said quietly. Chenguk's stomach dropped. What do you mean? She left the country yesterday. His heart stopped. What? She is visiting a friend abroad. Where? Mr. Mehra shook his head. She didn't say. He felt truly lost. John Jungkook had never believed in luck. His world ran on information, power, and calculated moves. People didn't disappear unless they wanted to or unless someone made them. But Vine had vanished in a way that made him feel powerless. The morning her father told him she had left the country, something inside Jungkook had gone quiet, not broken, not angry, just hollow. Mr. Mehra stood at the doorway watching him carefully. She didn't tell you where she went? He asked again, his voice low. No. Did she tell you who she is staying with? Yes. Chenguk's eyes sharpened. Then tell me. The older man shook his head slowly. That's not my decision to make. Chenguk clenched his jaw. I'm not here to drag her back. That may be true. Then please help me. Mr. Mehra studied him for a long moment. You have already caused enough chaos in her life. That wasn't intentional. That doesn't change the result. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Jungkook spoke again. I just need to talk to her. She already said goodbye. I never got to explain everything, and I have something new to tell her. Sometimes explanations come too late. Jungkook looked away toward the quiet street. Cars passed normally, birds chirped in nearby trees. The world looked painfully ordinary for someone whose life felt like it was falling apart. Did she look happy when she left? He asked quietly. Her father paused. She looked peaceful. The answer cut deeper than any insult. Peaceful without him. Mr. Mehra's voice softened slightly. You should let her live her life. Jungkook nodded slowly, but his mind was already moving. Information, connections, travel records. He didn't need her father to tell him where she went. He could find out. Within hours, his entire network was searching airline databases, private airport records, visa logs, international contracts. Vine had traveled under her near real name. She wasn't hiding, she was simply didn't want him following. 3 hours later, Sam walked into his office with a tablet. We found something. Jungkook looked up immediately. Where? Sam hesitated. You won't like it. Tell me. Sam placed the tablet on the desk. She flew to Valencia. Jungkook's eyes narrowed. Valencia wasn't the problem. Who controlled it was. The city was heavily influenced by the Delgado Syndicate, one of the most dangerous criminal group. Jungkook had crossed paths with them before, not friendly ones. Sam spoke carefully. They already know who you are. Good. That's not a good thing. They have sent threats before, not like this. Sam slid another message across the desk. A photo, a warning. Stay out of our territory. Below it was a simple message. Next time the warning won't be polite. Jungkook leaned back in his chair. Okay, flight. Sam blinked. You are serious? Yes. They will try to kill you. They have tried before. Boss. Jungkook stood. I'm going. The flight was quiet, too quiet for the first time in years. Jungkook wasn't traveling for business or power. He was chasing someone who might not ever want to see him. He stared out of the window at the clouds passing below. Memories kept surfacing. Vine laughing in the kitchen, Vine reading near the balcony, Vine looking at him that night at the lake house, hurt filling her eyes. You minimized my feelings. The truth of that moment still burning. He had been wrong, and he was running out of chances to prove he could change. Valencia greeted him with warm sunlight and salty ocean air. Beautiful, dangerous. The moment he stepped off the plane, he knew he was being watched. Two men near the terminal entrance stared at him longer than necessary. Another man outside the airport spoke quietly into a phone. Sam had been tried. The Delgado syndicate knew he was here. Good, let them watch. He wasn't here for them. The first week was pure frustration. He searched hotels, private apartments, art studios, cafes. Her friend's name appeared in the travel record, but the woman had dozens of properties. Tracking her exact location became a maze. Every night, Jungkook returned to his temporary apartment exhausted and empty-handed. The second week was worse. Delgado's men started appearing more openly. Black cars followed him through the narrow streets. Motorcycles lingered outside buildings he visited. A message arrived on his phone one night. "You are still here." Another message followed. "You won't be for long." Jungkook ignored it. Week 3 brought nothing. No sightings, no clues, no information. She was even still in the country. But he refused to leave. He checked the galleries, libraries, quiet cafes she might like, parks overlooking the sea. Every place he could imagine her visiting, each day ended the same, empty. One night he stood on a cliff overlooking the ocean. The Mediterranean stretched endlessly beneath the moonlight. He wondered if she had been somewhere like this recently, wondered if she was happy, wondered if she was thinking about him at all. In months, doubt crept into his mind. What if he never found her? The fourth week brought him some call from home. "Boss, we have a situation." Jungkook rubbed his tired eyes. "What happened?" The syndicate moved again. His chest tightened. "They attacked one of our shipments and we handled it, but it's escalating." Silence. "You need to come back." Jungkook stared out at the dark ocean. He had spent a month searching for her, a month risking his life in a city that wanted him dead. And he still had nothing. "Book the flight," he said quietly. Back home, the war was waiting for him, exploded immediately. The syndicate had grown bold during his absence. 3 warehouses had been targeted, 2 men injured, 1 missing. Jungkook walked into the meeting room with the calm fury of someone who had nothing left to lose. "Find them," he ordered. "They are already moving." Sam said, "Good." His eyes turned cold. "Then we will meet them halfway. Prepare everything. We are going to Valencia, to his territory." The confrontation happened at the abandoned shipping yard near the docks. Rain poured from the city. Thunder rolled across the dark water. Perfect weather for violence. Dozens of men stood on both sides, ready. Tension crackling in the air. The river leader stepped forward. "You left your territory," he said mockingly. Jungkook's voice was ice. "And you thought that meant I disappeared?" The man smiled. "Your queen left you, everyone knows." Something dark flashed in Jungkook's eyes. "Does that mean that doesn't know she is here too?" "Careful," the rival laughed. "What, still defending her?" Jungkook didn't answer. He simply raised. The fight exploded in seconds. Shots echoed across the docks. Men shouted, glass shattered, metal rang under stray bullets. Jungkook moved through the chaos with terrifying precision. Years of combat had trained his body to react instantly. 2 men fell before they could even aim, and they rushed him with a knife. Jungkook slammed him against the container and fired, but the enemy had numbers. The fight erupted from behind a stack of crates, a bullet torn through the air. The pain exploded through his shoulders. Jungkook staggered back, blood soaked instantly through his shirt. The word tilted slightly, but he didn't fall, not yet. He fired again. Another revolver dropped, rain mixed with blood on the ground. The fight raged for several more minutes before the remaining enemies retreated. Sam rushed toward him. Boss, Jungkook said slightly. I'm fine, you're bleeding. I said I'm fine, but the strength was already draining from his body. The world blurred, his knees finally gave out. He collapsed against the cold concrete. Rain saw his face. The last thing he heard before darkness crept in was Sam shouting his name. Hours later, footsteps approached his unconscious body. Someone had wandered too close to the aftermath. A woman walking through the nearby alley froze when she saw him lying there. Her breath caught. Because even under blood, rain, and darkness, he recognized him immediately. Jungkook. Vine dropped the bag in her hands and ran toward him. For a moment, Vine couldn't breathe. The warehouse smelled of blood and gunpowder. Broken crates and shattered glass littered the ground, and several men lay unconscious or wounded around the large empty space, but she didn't notice any of that. Her entire world narrowed to the man lying on the floor. Jungkook. His shirt was soaked with a dark red stream spread across his shoulders, dripping slowly onto the cold concrete beneath him. His skin looked pale, too pale. Jungkook, she whispered again, her voice trembled. She hadn't seen him in 2 months. 2 months of trying to forget him, 2 months of convincing herself that leaving had been the right decision. But now, seeing him like this, all those walls she had built around her heart cracked instantly. She knelt beside him. She chose to come here because she knows he couldn't come here with all the rest. But this, did he really came here for me or? Her hands hovered over his body for a moment, afraid to touch him, afraid of what she might feel. Then instinct took over. Hey, stay with me, she murmured softly. His eyelids fluttered slightly. He was barely cautious. The wound on his shoulder was bleeding heavily. If she didn't do something quickly, he could. And that thought terrified her. Not because he had hurt her, but because no matter how much pain he had caused, she still loved him. Vine looked around quickly. Most of the men had already fled the warehouse. The police sirens in the distance suggested the authorities would arrive soon. She didn't have much time. She carefully slipped one arm under Jungkook's shoulders. Come on, you're not dying today, she whispered. She groaned faintly. The weight of him was heavy, but adrenaline pushed her forward. Outside the warehouse, her car was parked across the street. She had come to the area to meet a friend who worked nearby. She had never imagined she would find her husband bleeding on the ground. Somehow, with immense effort, she managed to get him into the back seat. Jungkook had leaned against the car door, his breathing shallow. Vine quickly started the engine. Her hands trembled on the steering wheel. Her mind screamed a thousand questions. Why was he here? What happened? Why is he hurt? But none of that mattered right now. The only thing that mattered was saving him. Vine had been living quietly in a small rented apartment for the past few weeks. After leaving her father's house, she had gone abroad for some time to stay with a close friend. But eventually she had chosen to stay a bit longer. She needed space, time to think, time to rebuild herself. Time to figure out who she was without Jungkook. She had not contacted him, and he had not contacted her. That silence had hurt more than she expected, but she had assumed he had accepted her decision. She pulled the car into the apartment's underground parking lot. The building was quiet. Late at night, few people around. She helped Jungkook out of the car slowly. He was barely cautious now. Just a little more, she whispered. Somehow she managed to bring him upstairs. Once inside the apartment, she guided him to the couch. The moment he collapsed onto it, he groaned in pain. Vine rushed to grab her medical kit. Her hands were surprisingly steady now. Fear had transformed into determination. She cut through the blood-soaked fabric of his shirt. The sight made her inhale sharply. The bullet had grazed through his shoulder. Not fatal, but still serious. Of course, you would get yourself shot, she muttered under her breath. Carefully, she cleaned the wound. Jungkook stared slightly, his eyes opened halfway, blurry, confused. Then they focused on her. For a second, he looked like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Wine? His voice was hoarse, weak. She didn't look up from her work. Yes. Silence filled the room. Jungkook stared at her like she might disappear if he blinked. I thought I was hallucinating. She rubbed a bandage around his shoulder. You're not. Her tone was calm, too calm, but inside her chest, her heart was racing. After finishing the bandage, Vine stepped back. You lost a lot of blood. You need rest. Jungkook watched her carefully. You saved me. She shrugged lightly. You were bleeding on the street. I couldn't just leave you there. The words sounded detached, practical, but Jungkook knew her better than that. Her eyes betrayed her. They were filled with emotion she was trying desperately to hide. Thank you, he said quietly. She didn't answer. Instead, she walked toward the kitchen and returned with a glass of water. He drank slowly, his movements stiff because of the injury. The silence between them felt heavy. Finally, Jungkook spoke again. I looked for you. Vine froze slightly. But he didn't turn it around. For a month, he continued softly. I came here, go back, and came here again. Her eyes widened, but she kept her back to him. You shouldn't have. I had to. Why? The question came out sharper than she intended. Jungkook's voice was quiet. Because I needed to fix what I broke. Mine finally turned around. Her expression was guarded. You broke a lot of things, Jungkook. I know. Trust. I know. Respect. I know. Her voice cracked slightly. And love. Jungkook's chest tightened. I never stopped loving you. Love isn't enough, she replied. He nodded slowly. You're right. Then he took a deep breath. There is something you deserve to know. She crossed her arms. What? It was Rhea. The name instantly darkened her expression. What about her? She confessed. Vine's eyes narrowed. Confessed to what? To everything, Jungkook explained the childhood obsession, the manipulation, the deliberate interruptions, the years of subtle sabotage. Vine listened silently, her expression slowly shifting from anger to shock. She admitted she tried to separate us. He finished quietly. She thought eventually you would leave and then I would choose her. The room fell silent. Vine felt like the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. For years she had felt something was wrong, but every time she tried to explain it, Jungkook had defended Rhea. And now the truth finally surfaced, too late. So she won. She whispered bitterly. Jungkook immediately shook his head. No. You left because of my mistakes. But I ended it with her. She is out of my life permanently. Vine studied his face, trying to determine if he was telling the truth. She saw no hesitation, no doubt, just regret, deep, painful regret. Vine sank into the chair opposite him. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Then she said quietly, you know what hurt the most? Jungkook waited. It wasn't the calls, it wasn't the attention. It was that every time I tried to tell you how I felt, her voice trembled. You made me feel crazy. The words hit him like a knife. I'm sorry, she laughed weakly. The word doesn't fix anything. I know. Silence again. Then Jungkook said something unexpected. If you want me to leave, I will. Vine looked up. You are injured. I will survive. I won't force my presence in your life again. His honesty surprised her because the old Jungkook would have fought, argued, demanded another chance. But this version of him looked ready to walk away if that's what she wanted. Jungkook stayed in the apartment for a week. His injury made travel difficult. During that time, something unexpected happened. They talked not as husband and wife, but as two people who once loved each other deeply. They spoke about the past, about the mistakes, about the pain, and slowly the tension softened. Vine saw a side of Jungkook she had rarely seen before, vulnerable, honest. patient, and Jungkook saw something too the strength Vine had developed after leaving him. She wasn't the quiet woman who endured everything anymore. She had grown, independence suited her, and strangely that made him love her even more. 1 week later, Jungkook stood near the apartment door. His shoulder had held enough to travel. "It's time for me to go," he said quietly. Vine nodded. Neither of them had mentioned the future. Neither of them had discussed reconciliation. Maybe because they were both afraid of the answer. Jungkook picked up his jacket, then paused. "Thank you for saving me." She gave a small nod, "and for giving me the chance to explain." Another silence. Then he opened the door and stepped outside. He had only taken 2 steps down the hallway when Jungkook, he stopped immediately. Her voice made his heart race. Slowly he turned around. Vine stood in the doorway. Her eyes were searching his face. For a moment she hesitated, then she said the words that changed everything. "My last chance?" Jungkook blinked. He couldn't believe his ears. "What? One last chance?" she repeated with a smile on her face. "But things will be different." He waited. "I won't tolerate being second place." "You won't be," he said immediately. "If you ever make me feel that way again." "I won't. If I did, you know where mine is," his promise. She studied him carefully, then finally she opened her arms with a big smile, as if he was waiting for the consent. He ran toward her and hugged her tightly, giving kisses all over her face with tears in his eyes. "Then let's go home, husband." "Yes, 100 times yes, wifey."